Hi, welcome back to the Gemara in Masechet Ta'anit, Daf Yud Gimel Amud Bet. Saluta de Ta'anita, Hechi Mancherina. The prayer for a Ta'anit, where do we mention it? Where do we say it? The prayer for a Ta'anit, hopefully you'll remember, we've discussed before, is Tfilat Anenu. So where do we fit it into our prayers? Adebrei Rav Yehuda Rav Yitzchak Berei, V'tzarash. Rav Yehuda gave permission to his son Rav Yitzchak to explain, and he did. Yachid shekibel alav ta'anit, mitpalel shel ta'anit. An individual who accepted upon themselves a fast, they have to say this prayer. V'hechan omra, and where do they say it? Bein goel lerofeh, between the brachot of goel and rofeh in the Amidah. Matkif la Rav Yitzchak attacks this idea. V'chi yachid koveh bracha la'atzmo. Can a yachid really establish a bracha for oneself in the Amidah prayer? Ela Amar Rav Yitzchak b'Shomei Tefillah. Rather, Rav Yitzchak says you say it in Shomei Tefillah, because that is traditionally the place where an individual can put in one's own petitions, one's own ideas. So that makes more sense for Rav Yitzchak. V'chen Amar Rav Sheshet b'Shomei Tefillah. And so too Rav Sheshet said you say it in Shomei Tefillah. Meitzvei. Ein ben yachid l'tzibor, ela shezeh mitpalel shmona esrei, v'zeh mitpalel cha'asrei. There is no difference between a congregation and an individual. Presumably we're talking about on a fast day, except that one says 18 blessings and one says 19 blessings. So there would be a difference between the tefillah of the yachid and the tefillah of the tzibor on a fast day. And this implies that it's really only the shaliach tzibor who says this other blessing. Ma yachidu ma tzibor. What exactly is yachid and tzibor in this source that was brought? How would we define those terms? Ilema yachid mamash v'tzibor shaliach tzibor hani chasre esrin v'arba havu. If you were to say that yachid is really an individual and tzibor is the shaliach tzibor, then this should really be, how could this be 19? This should really be 24, because apparently there's a source elsewhere that tells us that the shaliach tzibor would say 24 different blessings, would increase the Shemona Esrei by that much on a fast day. And so it's not enough just to say that the shaliach tzibor goes up to 19, because we have this source that's much more than that. Elalav. No. Hachika Amar. Here's what the source is really saying. Ein ben yachid shekibel alav ta'anit yachid, le'yachid shekibel alav ta'anit tzibor, ela shezeh mitpalel shmona esrei v'zeh mitpalel cha'asrei. There's no difference between an individual who accepts upon themselves an individual fast versus an individual who accepts upon themselves a communal fast, except that the first one says 18 blessings and the second one says 19 blessings. In other words, this is a rewriting of that Breita so that it makes more sense according to our other ideas. Shema mina yachid koveh bracha la'atzmo. So we can learn from here that a yachid can in fact say a blessing for themselves and could actually go up to 19 blessings in the Shemona Esrei. Lo, nope. La'olam ein malacha shaliach tzibor. I insist, right, it's for sure going to mean the shaliach tzibor, our original reading of the Breita. V'zekak hashalacha shaliach tzibor esrin v'arba matzlei begimel ta'aniyot rishonot deleka esrin v'arba. And this problem that you were having about the shaliach tzibor needing to say 24 blessings, and so it would be much longer than the original, than the 18 or the 19. So in this case, we're talking about the first three fasts where you don't have, the first three fasts where you don't have these 24 blessings. The additional blessings only get added in the later fasts. Vilo. Is it really the case that you don't add them in those first fasts? Veha ein bein katani. But it says the words ein bein. Right? The Breita says there's no difference between a yachid and a tzibor. So how can there be no difference if there is a difference in the number of blessings? Ein bein gimel rishonot legimel emtzayot. Ela shebe'elu mutarin v'asiyat malacha. Ube'elu asurin b'asiyat malacha. Halachaf daled ze v'zeh shavin. So the way of explaining it is, what the source that was taught is there's no difference between the first 3 fasts and the middle 3 fasts, except that in the first 3, you're permitted to do malacha, and in the middle ones, you're not allowed to do malacha. This is the source that's being referred to with the ein bain, right? Halachaf daled ze v'zeh shavin. So it sounds like when it comes to the 24, when it comes to the idea of doing 24 blessings, the 2 are the same. In other words, it doesn't sound like you could say that some of these fasts for rain have 24 blessings and some don't, because it says ein bain, there's no difference except whether or not you're able to do malacha. Sounds like the number of blessings is the same in all of these. Tana v'shiur. The Tana taught, literally taught and left over information, meaning the Tana didn't give you a comprehensive picture of what was going on. My shiur, Zahai shiur. So what did the Tana leave out of the Breita? My shiur, right? So what did he leave out? Specifically this. Oh, sorry, the question mark was here. Right? Is it specifically this that was left out? V'tu v'ha ein bain katani. But still, it says the words ein bain. Right? Why does it say the words ein bain if there was information left out? Ela tana be'isuri kamairi, b'tfilot lamairi. So here's a different answer, better than saying the Tana left out some information. Let's just say that when the Tana said there was no difference between the 2 fasts, it was talking about no difference in the realm of isurim. But it wasn't talking about tefillot. So it's true, there's really no difference between those 2 sets of fasts when it comes to what you can do on those days. There is a difference in terms of tefillot, but that's not what the Tana was talking about. V'i bayit ema, or if you want to, I could say, meaning here's an alternative answer, be'emziuta nami lo matzei chaf daled. Or you could say that, in fact, there really is no difference, and in the middle ones, you also, right, those middle fast days, you also don't say the 24 blessings. That's not part of it, and so the Tana actually wasn't leaving anything out or skipping over anything. V'lo, really? Is that really the case? V'ha tanya, but didn't we learn in the Breita? Ein bain gimel shniyot l'sheva achronot, ela shebe'elu matri'in v'no'alin etachanuyot. That there's no difference between, oops, I'm just going to put this in red. There's no difference between the 3 fasts in the middle and the 7 last ones. No difference between those 2 sets of fasts, except that in the last ones you cry out or you blow shofar and you lock up the stores. Halachol divreyan ze v'zeh shavin. So that implies that for everything else they're the same. The chi tema hachanami Tana v'shiur. And if you were to say, well, here too the Tana just left out some information. V'ha ein bain katani. But it says ein bain, and again, these words ein bain make it sound like the Tana is being very specific and wouldn't leave out information. V'tispra, but v'tispra ein bain dafka. But could you really think that ein bain is dafka? Meaning, you really think that the Tana is being so specific when they say ein bain that there really can't be any difference between the 2 cases? The hashiur teva. But the Tana left out the teva. The Tana left out the subject of the aron, which gets brought out into the street to pray around, but only in that last set of fasts and not in the other. So that's a difference that wasn't listed. So you kind of have to say that the ein bain is lav dafka, or that the Tana left out some information. Imishum teva lav shiurahu. But the Gemara says, no, if we're only concerned about the ark, right, if that's the only difference between them, that doesn't count as the Tana leaving out information. Mili de tzina katani, mili de farhasia lo, because that Breita is only talking about things that happen in private and not things that happen in public. So again, just a way of saying, right, very similar to what we had before, just a way of saying, well, when it says there's no difference, it means no difference in one set of things, but not necessarily no difference in anything. Or in anything else, I should say. Mila farhasia lo katani. Amar Rav Ashi, Matniti Nami Deka Katani. Our Mishnah also, you can be medayek in our Mishnah. Our Mishnah also has an indication of this, because it says, Ma'elu Yatirot al Harishonot, El Shebe'elu Matri'in V'No'alina Tachaniyot, Aval B'chol Divrehen Zeh V'zeh Shavin. So our Mishnah says that, the extra thing that the last fasts have is that in the last ones you do this calling out and you lock up the stores. And so the implication is that, sorry, it's over here. The implication is that in everything else, they're the same. So that also implies they're the same in all these other ways. B'chi tema hachanami tana v'shir. And if you want to say, well, here too, the Tana just, taught but left out information, right? Maybe it was only talking about certain things. V'ha ma'elu katani. But it does use the words ma'elu. It uses these, again, very specific words. These, right? Just these and not any other cases. Similar to the ein bein example, right? Where it sounds like the language is being very specific. V'tispara ma'elu dafkahu. And can you really think that ma'elu, these words ma'elu, is dafka? Do you really have to think that it can't allow for any exceptions? V'hashir la teva. But again, it left out the teva. Imishum teva lav shirahu. Same response as before. If we're just going to mention the teva, if it's just because of the teva, so that's not actually an omission by the Mishnah. Mishum dekach chashiv la be'idach pirka. Because it talks about it in a different parak. We don't get that information here, but we get it elsewhere, so that's why the Tana left it out. Not because there's an additional difference that the Tana really didn't mention. Hashta da'atit lahachi. Now, hashta means now or here. So now that we've gotten to this point, Esrim va'arba nami lav shiurahu. So then we can say that the 24, leaving out the idea that you would say these extra 20, that you would go up to 24 blessings for the Shemona Esrei, that's also not a leaving out. It's a katani la be'idach pirka, because that's also taught about in a different parak. My haviela. What do they say about it? Like, what's the bottom line here? Meaning, going back to our original question about where you say the blessing. Amar Rav Shmuel bar Sastritai, v'chen Amar Rabbi Chia bar Ashi, Amar Rav, bein goel l'rofeh. You say it between these two brachot in the Amidah. For Rav Ashi Amar Mishmei Rabbi Yanai bereid Rabbi Ishmael b'shomei tefillah. Okay, this is the other opinion, that you say it in Shomei Tefillah. V'hilchata b'Shomei Tefillah. And the actual halacha is that you say it in Shomei Tefillah. One more piece of the Gemara to do. Tani Chara, one Tana taught, so one Tanaitic source says, Ubarotu menikot mitanot perishonot ve'en mitanot ba'achronot. That pregnant women and nursing women fast on the first set of fasts, but not the last ones. V'tanya idach, and we have another brayta that says, mitanot ba'achronot ve'en mitanot perishonot. They fast on the last ones, but not on the first ones. So completely opposite opinion. V'tanya idach, and then we have a third brayta that says, ein mitanot lo perishonot v'lo ba'achronot. They don't fast the first ones, and they also don't fast the last ones. Amar Rav Ashi, Nikot emtza'ita biyadcha, demitratzun kulhu. Literally, take out the middle ones in your hands, because that satisfies all of them. In other words, if you assume that there are actually 3 sets of fasts, the first ones, the middle ones, and the last ones, then all 3 of these braytot could actually be saying the same thing. When the first one says that they fast on the first ones and not the last ones, it means the first relative to the last, so it's talking about the middle. And when it says they fast the last ones and not the first ones, it means the last relative to the first, so it's talking about the middle. And then in the third brayta, when it says they don't fast the first ones or the last ones, that's because they fast the middle fast. So all 3 of these brayta would be saying that pregnant women and nursing women fast those middle fasts, but not the first or the last. Okay, we'll stop here.